Raymond Evison. Now, Raymond, can I go back to when you started? Early 80s in Guernsey?
That's right. In 1984 we started the nursery in Guernsey because we'd had such a terrible cold winter in England, and we'd lost 80,000 clematis plants one winter, the winter of 1981.
That was a bad one. I can remember that myself, you see.
Yeah.
Now, I always remember visiting you there in those early days they were quite old glass houses in those days, weren't they?
They were old tomato greenhouses. I bought an old tomato nursery, yeah, absolutely.
I bet things have changed from the ladies, the Madeiran ladies, washing the clematis, all the soil and compost off the roots to send to America.
For our export to America. Yes, well now, it's now about 20 years ago, we invested about £2 million into our state-of-the-art, environmentally friendly production assembly line nursery. Yeah, it's very much like a factory tent.
But you still love your clematis, don't you?
I do. It's marvellous, the plants that we're growing, the quality, and this year is our second year growing totally peat-free clematis. So we thanks to Chris Ozan, one of our directors, he took us from using 90% peat to totally peat-free and under 3 years, which is a great equivalent, a great success. So our exhibit at Chelsea Show last year, where we received the RHS Williams Memorial Medal, and this exhibit, all the plants have been grown in peat-free compost.
That's really good to achieve, isn't it? And looking around, I mean, I can see hundreds of varieties, but I mean, do you know how many varieties you grow now?
Currently we're growing commercially probably about 150 varieties, but I've bred and introduced over the years over 200 clematis cultivars and introduced subspecies too. But we have here on my left, we have Clematis Bridgewater, which we named after the RHS garden at Bridgewater. We already in 2004 named 4 clematis after Risley, Rosemore, Hyde Hall and Holland Flower. So it was lovely to have the opportunity to name this one Bridgewater, the new RHS garden at Bridgewater near Manchester.
Now, when does the Bridgewater clematis flower?
Well, as a garden plant,
yes,
it will flower during mid to latter part of May, but it's really continuously flowering. It's a very long term, it's repeat flowering. As you can see, Ken, plants are already in flower, but there are hundreds of buds coming, and so it's very, very long flowering.
I think that's what you've achieved, haven't you, as well, is developing clematis, or do you say clematis or clematis?
Well, I believe it's called clematis. It comes from the Greek language, but I say to people, I really don't mind what they call them.
As long as they buy them.
As long as they buy them. Absolutely.
And really, you have developed a lot of them to actually repeat flower through the season.
Absolutely.
Which wasn't around in the early days, was it?
No, clematis really were. You had some of the early flowering evergreens, and then the Alpina macropetalus, the Montana types, which are very short-lived flowering-wise, but they're great plants. And then I think with the large flowered clematis, the flowering period was much more limited. You had the early flowers, and then occasionally some would flower in the autumn. But using the genetics that I had in the National Collection of Clematis, which I held during the 1980s, 1990s, we had all the genetics there for breeding these long flowering ones.
So Chelsea is your sort of showcase, really, in the UK, isn't it?
Well, Chelsea these days is the showcase, the launch pad for all new plants, whether it's clematis or whatever. It's because of the way things work with social media. If you show a clematis at Chelsea, then people in China and Asia know about it the same day.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to me today, and it's nice to catch up with you yet again after all those years.
Ken, thank you. Great to see you too.